Hello, everybody. Andy Andrews here. And this is the Andy Andrews Blue Plate Special on Wednesday. I hope you got lunch because we're going to have just a tiny bit of learning, a lot of laughter. We are going to have fun today. I'm going to go ahead and start right off with a couple of comments and questions and see who's on here with us. But I've already been asked a couple of questions over and over since Monday. One was to quickly tell the Bob Hope how I made him mad story, and I will do that in just a minute. And then I've got a question or two to answer that people asked about Austin the other day. But hey, here's somebody from Laurel, Mississippi, Clay Patterson from Laurel, Mississippi. It just makes me aggravated that you live in Laurel and I don't, because Laurel has the only Pasquale's pizza it's still in existence that I know of, and those hot roast beef sandwiches are unbelievable. While California, what? Dan Stone says, "Who cuts your hair?" You know who cuts my hair. I cut my hair. That's right. I cut my hair. I saw a picture the other day of Anderson Cooper after he had cut his own hair, and they turned him to the side, and man, he had gone to the bone. He's kind of white anyway, he's like white hair, very white skin. His hair is almost like translucent or something. He looks kind of like this good-looking, ghostly figure, but somebody that looks that perfect, they probably would not like it when they cut their hair and it goes right. I mean, it like ripped off a big chunk. But I do cut my own hair and have for 8 or 9 years. And I'll tell you something, and I can be backed up on this by several friends. I have saved some friends some serious, serious money. I've saved some serious, serious money cutting my own hair. But do you know what I use? I use a Flowbee. That's right. And I know that a lot of you are out there going, Flowbee, what's a Flowbee? Don't you remember the old commercial years ago when we were kids, the guy with the vacuum cleaner stuck to his head and pulling the hair up? You can cut your hair with a Flowbee, and it never goes. And so that's what I use. Now, I'll tell you how I got started using the Flowbee. Is Liz and Bob McEwen were at our house. Now, Bob McEwen has been a congressman. Today he's the executive director of the National Council for Policy. And he's done things in his life. I don't even know what, I would call Liz and say, "Where's Bob today?" And she said, "Oh, he's monitoring elections in Ukraine." And I don't know. But he's one of these very suave-looking James Bondish kind of people. And so they're at our house, and she says something about, when we get home, I need to cut Bob's hair. And I said, "Wait a minute, you cut his hair?" This is like 10 years ago. I said, "You cut his hair?" She goes, "I do." And his hair looks great now. This is a great-looking guy, big guy. And I said, "You cut his hair?" I do. "I didn't know you could cut hair." She said, "I use a Flowbee." And I'm like, "What?" She, the hair on TV, the vacuum cleaner. I said, "You cut his hair with the vacuum cleaner thing?" She said, "I do." She said, "It's called a Flowbee, Flowbee. And she said, "Bob is so scared they're going to go out of business, he keeps 2 at all times." And so, about that time, Austin and Adam were, 7 and 5, and taking them to the barbershop, it was an ordeal, And you're paying $15 a piece for those kids to get their haircut. So there's $30 and a couple hours of time, which Polly and I figured were taking about 10 days off our lifespan to get this done. And so I said, I'm going to order one of these things, because they hated going so much that I was able to say, well, when they would go, "Dad, I don't want," I'll go, "Okay, we'll just take you to," and I go, no, okay, I'll sit still. And so I started cutting their hair. And you can't mess it up. It has those little spacer bars. Then you go and you see the vacuum cleaner. Is that how much I want to take off? And then turn on the shears and you can't mess it up. I mean, you just can't mess it up. And so I cut their hair for a couple or 3 years. But of course, my career, I have to look somewhat decent. And so I kept going to the barber, and because I wouldn't cry or scream or anything when I was in the barber chair, at least once I started going to college. Anyway, I kept going to the barber, but there came a time when I couldn't get in. I mean, this guy was so good and so popular, and then he started cutting back. I'm only going to do 4 days a week, then 3 days a week. I couldn't get in. Well, at one point the next day, I'm headed to New York City to do Good Morning America. And I can't get my hair cut. And it looks horrible. It's way too long. It's summertime. It's way too long. And I thought, oh my Lord, I'm going to have to cut my own hair. And after a brief prayer service, a couple of sacrifices, I turned on the vacuum cleaner and I'm in the bathroom. I'm cutting my own hair. And nobody ever said anything. I mean, I went to New York and back. Robin Roberts never said, off camera, she never said, hey, what happened to your hair? Nothing. I mean, it looked fine. And so I have literally been cutting my own hair ever since. I told Wes Hampton about the Flowbee. Wes and Andrea have 5 kids. 5 kids. I mean, he owes me, he needs to buy me a boat or something, because I've saved him tens of thousands of dollars through the years with my Flowbee advice. There was a while there I was cutting the neighbors. I was cutting Brian Backen's hair. If I'm cutting the boys, he's hearing this, he'll come over and go, hey, Nita. And I go, okay, all right, come here, line up. And, sit over there on that row of chairs, read the comic books. But yeah, I do cut my own hair. Nicole Johnson says, hi, Andy. I never heard of you before Monday with Mark, and I really enjoy listening to you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And Kevin, this is your first time here. So you're from York, South Carolina. That seems kind of an oxymoron, the word York and then South Carolina. But I'm glad you're here, buddy. Have you ever been to Gaffney, South Carolina? Gaffney, South Carolina is the peach capital of the world, evidently, and they have a big peach on a water tower. And it looks like, from, one side you see the leaf coming down, but that color of the peach, and then, if you're driving down the interstate one way, all you see is that cleft in the peach. So it looks like a big, wow, they have a water tower that's like a butt. That's what it looks like. It looks like a big butt on a stick up there. But anyway, thanks for being here. It's your first time. Somebody from East Texas, somebody from West Des Moines. Is that a thing with you guys? I mean, I've heard Des Moines, and I've heard East Texas, West Texas, but I've never heard West Des Moines. Do you guys do that? I mean, because here we do, because people, we didn't used to, but you know how people, you say to somebody from Dallas, so you're from Dallas? They go, no, I'm from Fort Worth. Oh, excuse me. So now you're from Minneapolis? No, I'm from St. Paul. And so, for years, we didn't do that. But somewhere along the line, Gulf Shores and Orange Beach became very proud of themselves. And I do it now, too. People say, so you're from Gulf Shores? No, well, I'm kind of, I'm from Orange Beach. But people get mad about that stuff, Who's who is the singer that he was here a couple of years ago at Christmas, but he's real popular. So he has that, they were brothers, but he has that kind of voice that, yeah.
Oh man, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that probably wasn't a great impression, was it? But, and he has a Christmas song, bells will be ringing. It's some kind of that voice. Aaron Neville. That was probably a horrible Aaron Neville impression, wasn't it? But anyway, he was at right out here. We're here at the Wisdom Harbor Studios at the wharf. Okay, just so you know where we are, and if you're in town, if you happen to be in town and there's not a pandemic, drop by and see us. We're right here on the second floor. If you go to the stainless steel Marlins, there we're 8 palm trees up, and we're here on the west side, second floor of the wharf. But Aaron Neville was right over here at the convention center in Orange Beach, and at some point he said, he said, "Oh, it's great to be here in Gulf Shores," and people were like, "Orange Beach, you're in Orange Beach." Like, oh God, I'm sorry, but West Des Moines, huh? That's the thing with you guys. All right. Oh, let me tell you before because I know I'm just gonna keep seeing people and wanting to say hi. Somebody from Reno. You know I've done stuff in Reno. Did you know that? Let's see. Appreciate the 7 decisions. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you. From Florence, Alabama. Florence is a beautiful place. That's up in... Is the county Tuscumbia or is there the town Tuscumbia? I'm not really sure, but in any case, Florence is up there from where Helen Keller was from. So I'm doing stuff with Bob Hope. This was years ago, and word came to me that I had been on a television show, another television show, or some television talk show, and I had said something about Bob Hope. Now, to me, it was very innocuous, okay, but word came to me that he did not like it. It was horrendous because they said, Mr. Hope was not pleased, and he's not pleased. Can you imagine? I'll tell you what I said. The host of the talk show had said, "So Andy, you've been doing a lot of stuff recently with Bob Hope. What is that like?" And I said something to the effect of, "Man, he is just amazing. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, this is like an older guy, and he is just amazing. As sharp as he can be. He's just as quick as ever. Well, he didn't like that. He didn't like that I had said he was an older guy. Now, I got to tell you, I was horrified that Bob Hope, because he was being really nice to me. He was helping me. He was introducing me to people, and then all of a sudden he's mad at me. But can you imagine? I'm this little punk comedian, and he's mad at me, and I'm horrified. And I'm with Polly saying, what do I do? What do I do? And because, part of me, I'm thinking, he's mad because I said he's kind of old or kind of an old guy. I mean, doesn't he know that he's kind of an old guy? I mean, at the time, he's 92. You would think he would know he's kind of an old guy. Does he think that me saying he's kind of an old guy, that people are going, really? Bob Hope is old? All this is running through my mind too, all this smart aleck stuff. It's like, okay, you mad at me? Hey, you're mad at me? Buddy, let me tell you something. Let me be mad at you. But I also know, that's where things get out of hand. That's where things start. I certainly had not meant to make him mad. And I knew mad probably wasn't a good word. I had hurt his feelings. That's what had happened. And, I didn't know what to do. And Polly said, you get your wife's advice. Like, I really want this advice. Polly said, you need to call him. I'm like, I'm not calling Bob Hope. Bob, see, number one, I'm just not calling Bob Hope. And number two, he's mad at me. I'm not calling the nice Bob Hope. And I'm sure not calling the mad Bob Hope. And she's, well, I'm just telling you, just something like this. It was a misunderstanding. You didn't mean to hurt his feelings, and so you need to call him. Well, thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate so much your advice, but I'm not calling Bob Hope. And I worried about it, and worried about it, and worried about it. And Polly said a couple times, well, if you're so worried about it, call him. And it's like, do you think he's going to fire you? Do you think he's not going to work with you again? If he's mad, he's definitely not going to work with you again. And so what's the worst that can happen? You call him, you apologize, and then he doesn't work with you again. Well, that's already in place. And I resisted so much because I knew that was the right thing to do. And so I did. I called him. I had his home number. I've been over to his house. We've sat out by a swimming pool. I had watched his mean assistant be mean to people. That's how close we were. So I called him. And Dolores, Mrs. Hope, answered the phone. And I said, Mrs. Hope, this is Andy Andrews. And she said, hi, Andy. Generally, but I believe I owe your husband an apology. And if you don't mind, could I talk to him just for a minute? And she said, okay, I will get him. I'm like, I'm waiting, and I hear in the background, I hear, and I'm like, I can't tell what they're saying. But he picks up the phone, and he goes, hi, Andy. I said, hey, Mr. Hope, I hope I've caught you at an okay time. I hope I'm not interrupting. He says, yeah. And I said, Mr. Hope, it has come to my attention over the past couple of days that I had said something on a talk show the other night and that you were not happy about that. He goes, yeah. And I said, Mr. Hope, you and Mrs. Hope have been so good to me. And you know how much I have loved you through the years before I ever met you. And I have considered it such an honor just to be around you guys. And I want you to know, I would hope you would already know, I would never do anything to hurt your feelings on purpose or to make you, put you in a bad light or to embarrass you. I said, and I am horrified that I have done that. It was not my intention. My intention was to compliment you, and boy, did that ever come out wrong, obviously. And I'm so sorry because what came out of my mouth and what was in my heart were two different things. And the only thing I can do at this point, I feel like, is to ask you to please forgive me. So, Mr. Hope, will you please forgive me for not watching what I said more carefully and embarrassing you? Would you please forgive me? Just like that, he says, Andy, if anybody knows about intending to say one thing and having something else come out of your mouth, it would be me. And so, of course I forgive you, son. So don't you worry at all about that. Don't you worry. And thank you so much for calling. And I see you next Thursday, I think. I see you next Thursday. So we'll, we don't need to talk about this anymore. I mean, we got plenty of things we'll talk about. And so, but thank you for calling. Okay. So, yes, sir. Thank you so much. And man, I can't tell you. That is the first thing that comes to my mind every time I think about Bob Hope. That's what comes to my mind, because not only was I so scared, and not only was he so gracious, but it taught me such an unbelievable lesson about the power of forgiveness and power of how to ask for it. This was, I didn't mean to do it, but I said it. I chose those words to come out of my mouth. So I can't claim it was an accident, right? So, if somebody makes a mistake, I can't say, I made a mistake. I made a mistake. No, because I made a choice. Those are the words again. There's a difference in a mistake and a choice. And, a mistake is when you think you're supposed to go right here, and you go right here, and you end up at a dead end and have to turn around. That was a mistake. And, you won't do it again. And so with a mistake, you can say, I'm sorry. And I'm sorry covers a mistake. But when we make a choice, when we do something that is a choice, a lot of times people, and then we try to cover it up with, I'm sorry. People are like, yeah, I'm not really sure if you're sorry or if you're just sorry you got caught. And so some of that never seems to go away unless we choose to use the words, will you forgive me? And it's a reset button that our families can use, and I wish some of our public leaders would use, but there is a distinction between a mistake and a choice, and there's a distinction in how that works. Hey, Taranda. Let's see. Let's see. Man, I need glasses. I've got glasses, they just don't work. And so I understand dealing with fear during the quarantine. Wow, we gotta just gotta love on each other and be patient with each other more. The fear in the quarantine is definitely an imagination. Our imagination, that's a two-edged sword. That's why faith and fear are so much alike. Faith and fear, kind of the same thing. Both of them are believing in something that hasn't happened yet, and that you can't see or you can't prove. That's what faith is, and that's certainly what fear is. But when you stretch them out over a period of time, there is a reward for both of them too. And the reward for fear is more fear. But the reward for faith is to finally see what you have believed. And with the fear thing, it helps me to always remember that fear is nothing in the world but a misplaced use of my imagination. It's a misplaced use of the creative imagination that has been put in us. So we have that imagination, and that imagination left alone can go into some weird closets that we shouldn't be going into. Which is why, during a time like this, during the time of quarantine, hey, Kevin, Marion Struble, are you connected with Edgar Struble by any chance? In Rogers Band. Struble is just not a common word. But I was thinking about during this time when we're leading people, and some if you love somebody, if you care how somebody's life turns out, you're a leader, because you do want them to go with the opinion that is correct. You want them to go the correct pathway, and you're influencing one way or another. And so, especially during this quarantine, we really need to remember the proper use of imagination in leadership, and that proper use is to get people through this, is to construct that narrative of what life will be like. Okay, now I would not advise putting a date on it. All right, but but construct the narrative. If you're in a leadership position in any capacity, with your family, with friends, at work, just control the narrative. Because when we leave people to their own devices with their own narrative, it's inevitably negative. It's, it goes to the negative. And so it's like a child. When you're parenting, you want to be the one to lay out the narrative of how this family is going to work. Because in the absence of a narrative, they'll create their own. Let's see. We're not going to go. We're not going to go long today. Okay, so I'm letting you know. And we're going to do this again Friday, Matt. Friday. Now we're not getting on some regular Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule, but just to let you know now, and you guys, please. I should have mentioned this before, but please click your notification button. When you see that, to make sure that you are notified when we're live. And if you don't mind, it's kind of late to say this now, but I probably need notes, Matt. I've never had notes in my life, but I would feel like I was like a professional if I had notes.
Get you some notes.
Okay, all right, get me some notes. They don't even have to be, about the show or anything, but if I had some notes where I could go, and then people think, wow, he knows what he's talking about. But it's too late to say this now, but if you can figure out how to share this to your Facebook page, that would really help us a lot. Okay, but I had some people asking questions about Austin's Mama's secret weapon. I had somebody that emailed me and said, "Now tell me again why that's better than a regular wooden spoon for doing soup and doing roux for gumbo and doing stock for soup." And the reason is because it has a flat and sharp edge. It's rounded at one end, so it can get in the corners with a single swipe, and it can go around the edges in a single swipe. But that flat edge turns everything in there. It turns it. And so you've heard people say, this gumbo, they burned the roux. They burned the stock. Well, it's almost impossible not to burn the roux using a regular spoon. You just have to stand there and stir it over and over. You can't leave it because consider, let's see, we'll use my blue plate as an example. Can you see this part of the table? Matt, can I see this part of the table? Okay, so if this is a regular spoon right here, and it's not. This is one of Aunt B's china plates from the Andy Griffith Show. But if this was a spoon, it would be curved on the bottom. And this flat bottom of the pan, as we tried to do this to turn things, it would kind of do stripes in the bottom of the pan, but it's going to leave stuff down there that's not getting moved, and it's going to stay against the bottom, and it's going to burn or stick or something like that. And so what Austin has done with these Mama's secret weapons is it has a flat edge that's kind of sharp. I mean, it's not cutting yourself sharp, but for wood, it's sharp. And, just a swipe along there, it's angled at a certain perfect degree that he measured, and it turns everything. And so that's why, even the story is on the website, on Austin Legacy Knives website. If you go to specialty items, you'll see Mama's secret weapon, and the story is on there about, she never burned the roux, and nobody could ever figure out why. And it was because of this particularly carved, angled thing. And but it was also her secret weapon because she used it not just in the bottom of the pan. She used it on the bottoms of her boys. And so anyway, it's a great Mother's Day present. And so I guess, Matt, you're going to put a link up or something that you can go and get these. Austin, he was on Monday, and I said, so will you give everybody a discount? Will you give us a discount? Come on. And he said, sure. And the ones that are made, and these are all marked 1 of 1. So if you want to give your mom something awesome for Mother's Day that doesn't cost a ton, but is, nobody's going to go in the house and go, yeah, we've got one of those. I mean, they don't have one of these. This is 1 of 1. His logo, Austin Legacy Knives. There, yeah, there's a picture. And so he has the different ones. He has zebra wood, ambrosia maple, and those with the discount, I'm trying to remember this, are $49 a piece. They have the leather at the end. You can hang it up with the leather at the end. And then there's the white oak, and it's with your discount is $39. And then the cypress, which is my favorite one, it's the cheapest one, with your discount, it's $29. And so you can get either the curvy handle or the straight handle. But man, these are works of art. Yeah, I see it up on the screen now, the curvy handle or the straight handle. And I think that is the cypress right there, that lighter color wood, and that's the zebra wood over on the other. But Austin Legacy Knives, if you want it, he can get it in for you for Mother's Day. Hey, before we go, anything else? Oh, I see Jimmy Erie on here. Jimmy, have you seen Jimmy's new song? It's a new song off his album. It's Same Water, Different Boat. If you haven't seen it, go to YouTube. You got to see this. Make sure you're on tonight late for Sugarcane Jane, 9:30 tonight. And Mark will be in the morning, Mark Lowry in the morning at 10 o'clock. We'll be here again, 12:15 on Friday for another Andy Andrews Blue Plate special. Seeing, hey, Gina Christmas. There's Ty Bullard. Ty Bullard. Ladies and gentlemen, Bullard Automotive for all your automotive needs. I'm telling you, these, Bullard Automotive, they have a bunch of different dealerships. But Ty, Kevin, Wanda, all the people who work there. And, of course, Joe Bullard is like my big brother. And Joe has retired. He's too young to retire. But he retired so that he could play golf and fish more and probably bug Ty down at the dealerships. But these guys, you need to meet these guys. I mean, you talk about people you would just want to be around. Ty Bullard, Kevin, Juan, I'm thinking a bunch of them, but there's Clay Patterson. Kristen, hey, how are you? From Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. What a cool name of a town. Amy Paget, I love seeing you on there. We got some good friends. Thank you so much for joining me today. And so how do we end this? Do we did you like Matt's beginning? I thought I was getting the Sugarcane Jane does the song. That's their it's called the Noticer theme. That and it's in the podcast music too. But I loved your opening, Matt. We ought to have, they used to have opening show songs. Like everybody knows, just sit right back and hear a tale for a faithful trip that started on this tropic port aboard this tiny ship. The mate was a mighty sailing man, the skipper brave and sure. 5 passengers set sail that day for a 3-hour tour. A 3-hour tour. And they, the first season, they only said, Ruth Gilligan, the skipper too, the millionaire and his wife, the movie star, and the rest. There's only 2 more. It's just like, and the rest. Really? Man, if I'd have been those two, that actor and that actress, if I'd have been, they're the next season they started going, the Professor and Mary Ann. That was easy. But no, you're just going to do and the rest. Just like, we got tired of writing this song. We can't rhyme anything else. Just go and the rest. That was horrible. But my point was, they used to have ending songs too, back in the day. And so, a lot of people can sing the Gilligan's Island song for you, but and not many people know. So this is a tale of our castaways. They're here for a long, long time. They'll have to make the best of things. It's an uphill climb. No something, no motor car. Not a single luxury. Like Robinson Crusoe, as primitive as can be. So join us here each week, my friend. You're sure to get a smile from 7 stranded castaways here on Gilligan's Island. So join us on Friday, my friend, here on the Blue Plate Special, 12:15. See you then.